All right, so Voltage Pictures, they're the people who made the Hurt Locker, or distributed the Hurt Locker, and Dallas Buyers Club. And they are now one of those companies that are more famous for suing you for downloading it. So there's a couple of companies that are like copyright trolls, one of which being Voltage Pictures, the other one being something called Malibu Media. They are interesting in the fact that they have managed to find people's IP addresses, right? They've managed to say, well, we found your IP address downloading a copy of this particular movie. So they send you a letter and they say, you're guilty of this. If you'd like to settle out of court, please send us thousands of dollars. Otherwise, we're taking you to court. And here's our track record of quashing other people, all right, of making sure that they have paid us for this movie. So they have this reputation that is they're hardcore. And here's the problem with their reputation. It's based on weakness. It's based on the weakness of the fact that people get this letter in the mail, and this is where I was talking about earlier, where people get taken advantage of. Let's say, as an example, and this is a true story, is that there's an 86-year-old man living in Canada who has a very old PC that's plugged directly into a cable modem, has no Wi-Fi, his machine is off at night because, well, he's old. He shuts everything off at night, and there's no way that there's somebody else using his connection. He received a letter from Voltage Pictures demanding $10,000 for the downloading of the Dallas Buyers Club. One, he has no interest in the Dallas Buyers Club. Second, he has no way that he downloaded. His machine doesn't have any of the downloading stuff on there, and he wouldn't understand how to do it in the first place. However, he's one of those people that ended up paying money to Voltage Pictures because he got a threatening legal letter in the mail because they had an IP address, and in this particular case was wrong. The IP address information was inaccurate. And somebody else, because IP addresses change, by the way. If you are a residential cable or internet subscriber, your IP address changes from time to time, and every once in a while you'll end up with the IP address of somebody who's doing something horrible, who previously had it. So you end up with somebody who is completely innocent of any of this stuff being taken advantage of by a bully, by being pushed because they get a letter in the mail. We've complained about infringement trolls before, right? But this is on a personal level. This is one of those things where you've got a corporation who's supposed to be a movie distributor, and they spend all this time and money just bullying people into paying them, and they're asking for $4,000 to $10,000 just because they have an IP address. And never mind the fact that in most courts, many courts have determined that a simple IP address is not enough information to prove that person was involved. And then you have people like Malibu Media, who's a similar company, just like Voltage, who goes after people who are downloading movies. And if you could see the air quotes on this, their expert, all right, is this guy who, this guy, he basically saw a picture of this dude's computer setup and said, look at that all-in-one AOC computer. And that wasn't disclosed to us as a computer at the beginning of this trial. And he made this big deal about it and blew this particular court case up to be this thing where this guy was hiding information. He said because the information wasn't there, because there was no evidence, was proof of guilt, because they were doing such a good job of hiding it.
Oh my God.
All right, and first of all, let's not even gloss over the fact that AOC had their quote-unquote expert even gone to the AOC website. They don't make computers. They only make monitors. How stupid do you have to and here's the thing with these companies. These companies, they go and they're hiring these idiots that are like, well, guess what? I'm an expert, and I'm gonna go ahead and set the record straight. And they're setting the record straight to potentially a jury of people who also don't understand technology, who wouldn't be able to look at that picture and go, oh, well, that's not a computer at all, doofus. All right, so these people are being convinced by an expert that somebody is guilty for information that is completely untrue. And it's just like, there should be a standard. There should be a bar that has to be reached that says that you are smart enough to understand the technology you're looking at, especially when it comes to a criminal case where you're convincing other people that someone is guilty. It is so dumb.
On that note, I think we should probably take a break.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Guru Show. If you did, please consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Your subscription helps us reach new audiences and expand the show in new directions. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help the Computer Guru Show expand into a longer format, as well as support the production of new content for this channel. Links are in the description below, and thank you again. We'll see you next week.